Well, welcome back to another episode of RailPeople from RailStuff. Of course, those of you who haven't tried RailStuff before, rail-stuff.com for all your scenic and accessory needs. But if you're just here for the podcast, then welcome along as well. This time, I've got quite a special guest. 25 years in modelling media. Now, some of you may immediately know who I'm talking about, but if you don't, then, well, he's got 15 years worth of running modelling events as well, and, well, a lifetime of modelling behind him as well. Some of you may know him from Hornby magazine and related videos and publications. Others of you may know him just from being in and around the hobby for as many years as he has. I am, of course, talking about Mike Wild. Mike, welcome along.
Thank you for having me, Adam. Good to be here.
So, first of all, thank you to Key Model World Live for sponsoring this episode. That isn't the reason why Mike's on the episode. It just kind of tied in together quite nicely. But we will talk a little bit later on about the upcoming Model World Live show that is only a few weeks away, that I'm very much looking forward to. But I think before we do anything else, we do have to start with the most serious question of all of them. And look, the regular listeners of this podcast are very, very invested in the answer to this question. Mike, what is your favourite cheese?
My favourite cheese? Easy answer to that one, Red Leicester.
Oh, okay, good. The last three guests we've had have said, I don't really like cheese, and it hasn't gone down too well. So
I don't like cheese. So yeah, it is a tough call though. I mean, to be fair, there's brie and camembert and everything else. So it's but Red Leicester, perfect daily cheese.
Yeah, camembert has that smell issue though, doesn't it? It's
great with garlic cloves in it. So.
Yeah. I do like a baked camembert as well. That's yeah.
Baked camembert, garlic cloves, and a bit of nice toasted batter around the edge. That'll do the job.
It's only just over an hour away until lunch, so yeah, that's probably not the best.
Lunch as well. There you
go. Very good. Well, that's always a good place for us to start. But you know, I said in the intro that you've been in and around this hobby for a long time. For those who don't know, just give everyone a flavour of what you do now, and we'll get on to your inspiration in the past in a bit.
So what I do now, I'm the my job title is I'm the publisher for the modelling activities at Key Publishing. So I oversee the day-to-day operation of Hornby magazine, Airfix Model World, the Key Model World digital websites, limited edition commissions, event operations, anything that's to do with modelling of any kind at Key Publishing, and I'm the contact point for that. So it's quite a diverse portfolio now.
And I'm going to guess that the events have become the most stressful part of that.
Events are they're a big challenge. There's no easy way around that one. Events are a big thing to run. Awful lot of work, all focused on those 2 days of the opening for public to be in there. Huge amount of effort before the event, huge amount of effort during the weekend of the event, and huge amount of effort after the event as well. So
yes, yeah,
we love them as well. So
I think a lot of people forget the after event stuff as well, and they think once they've left for the day that's it. But that's the after people have left part of the weekend is always the worst part for me, the packing up and the getting out of there, because you want to do it as quickly as possible, but at the same time you're dead on your feet. So.
Yes, yeah, and everything's still got to be looked after properly as well. You know, it's like everyone who does modelling knows that actually, there's so many delicate items you're dealing with, and that doesn't matter whether you're talking about having a model railway at the show or taking a shop to a show or whatever it is. You've still got things that got to be treated right to actually get them home in one piece so you can use them next time as well. So,
yeah, and for us traders, our stock has got to be in good nick as well for the next show, and well organised for online sales and everything. Yeah.
And it all starts again on the Monday. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. In fact, yesterday morning, my first job was down the unit, unload the trailer, and get everything sorted out. And but that's why we do it. We love it, I suppose.
Exactly. Yeah.
So being publisher in charge of all of the modelling titles, you've said that you're a modeller yourself, and we know your exploits with railway modelling through some of the stuff we see on YouTube and everything like that. But what about modelling overall? Is railways your passion, or is it other modelling?
So model railways is my primary focus. I'm the worst and best kind of modeler in a lot of respects. In that I'm very easily captured by something else. I mean, at the moment on my desk is a 124 scale Apache helicopter. That's one of the current products that's sat here currently in build at the moment. But I'm fascinated by anything that's a vehicle, aviation, military, railways. It all captures my attention. But my primary focus is mainly model railways. But over the years, I've built hundreds of plastic kits as well. Not to the level of what the guys do at Airfix Model World, but for my enjoyment, I enjoy building them. So,
absolutely, and I think because I watched an interview with you that was from about this time last year, I think, and I think you said your first model railway memory was receiving a Lima loco for your second birthday.
It was, yes, yeah, 37081 in BR Large logo blue, yeah, yes.
So I'm assuming then that there was some influence from parents.
Yes, yeah, very true. My dad's a lifelong enthusiast. He worked in the transport industry as a fleet manager for a bus company. I've been surrounded by transport of one kind or another since basically the day I was born. When I was younger, there was nothing better than a Saturday morning going to the bus depot with my dad. We'd go around and oversee jobs happening at the depot. Sometimes going to get start up rows of vehicles and things, and that was always great fun as well. Then it'd be a trip out to the Keith-in-Worth Valley Railway or an exhibition in the afternoon kind of thing. So there was just transport everywhere. So.
Yeah. And has transport and modelling been your main passion in life, or just for people to understand a little bit more about Mike Wilde himself? What else gets you running?
Well, there's cars as well. I suppose they kind of fall into the transport thing as well. I've always been I've had quite a few different cars over the years. A lot of air-cooled Volkswagens. Did a bit of dabbling in drag racing with a Volkswagen camper van as well, and it was great fun. It's still sat in the barn. It's the one that people see in the back of the shop sometimes inside my workshop. So I've still got that as well. Lots of different things that catch my attention. So
similar to me, anything with wheels, and I'm interested really.
And plenty of time walking the dog as well. Again, Luna's featured in some of the videos that have been seen as well. So she comes to the office as well. I think she's part of the team really now as well. So
yeah, but I think you can only be successful in this industry with a dog by your side as well. We all know Lulu.
Exactly. Yes, yeah. But they're there to test things and to help. Build a new baseboard. The first thing Luna will do is she'll step on top of the baseboard and sit on it to go, tested it works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw a thread on some kind of social media platform the other day of people posting pictures and videos of their cats on their layouts, and they do like to get involved as well.
They do, yes. My cat used to like sitting on top of the tunnel, so that was his spot. So I think it was safe because he was a long way up from the dog as well. So.
But did he used to bat the trains off, or?
No, he was pretty well behaved. Apart from if we had N-gauge stock out, then he would get involved with the N-gauge stock and decide it was an electric mouse.
It sounds about right. So obviously you got this Lima on your second birthday. Does that mean that did your dad already have a layout, or was that the start of a layout for you?
My dad already had a layout. We had a loft layout at the time. It was about he's still got it massively rebuilt now compared to what it was when I was a kid. But that was about 18 foot long, about 10 foot wide. That was the main layout. And then I can't remember exactly what age I was, but I had a smaller layout in my own bedroom. And then as I grew up and migrated from 00 gauge modelling into N-gauge modelling as well. I still remember that first visit to the shop going, are you sure that this 7-year-old's going to be able to cope with N-gauge?
And is N-gauge something that you've then stuck with, or are you kind of mixed gauges in what you do?
So I'm a bit of mixed gauges. I mean, I've moved away from N-gauge now. My main area I'm modelling in at this moment is 00 gauge. But I think over the years I've gone through different phases of having different interests in different periods, different scales. Still got quite a large collection of O gauge, which since I moved to house a couple of years ago is kind of sitting there waiting for the day when I've got a bit of space and time to do what I want with that. But the N-gauges, I've moved on from the N-gauge at the moment, but never say never. It's like I see things come in the office, like for example, there's a Revolution Trains Cartier floors that just come into the office for review. And I see things like that. I'm just going, wow, this is another world compared to what I had as in Engage in what the mid 1990s from Poole and Graham Farish days.
Yeah.
Very
I have to say, I don't have a huge amount of space. As you may be able to hear in the background, I have a 2-year-old, and so you kind of give up a lot of your space in the world for them. But I am starting to think that maybe I might have space for a little shunting layout in Engage or something like that. For somebody who might just start out in Engage, what are the things that they really need to bear in mind compared to modelling in 00, for example?
I think the main thing I'd say with Engage is that you need to be on top of the maintenance all the time. Well-maintained Engage locos run beautifully, but you do need to keep on top of the wheels being clean. You need to make sure they're on a clean layout. You don't want fluff and debris running around because it does get into the mechanisms. It can cause a lot of damage to the gears and things as well, or just erratic running issues. And apart from that, it really is down to the maintenance. They just need that little bit more care and attention. There's some beautiful Engage models around now, and things like what we almost take for granted now as being you get all the buffer beam accessories for 00 gauge loco. You've got all that same availability in Engage now. And the detail and the quality is stunning, quite frankly, in Engage these days. It's very attractive products.
And it's becoming that way in terms of the line side accessories as well. Because the developments in 3D modelling and laser cut modelling, the kind of detail that you can get even into smaller Engage kits now is really impressive, and it's all going in the right direction.
It certainly is, and that's been a big turnaround for Engage in the UK over the last 20 years since Bachmann took over the Graham Farish range in 2020, 2000, sorry, rather. It's a very different world for Engage in the UK compared to overseas. I mean, for example, in Japan, Engage is about 10 times plus the size in terms of market share of what it is in the UK. Japan, they have much smaller houses. They have the need for, they have the need to fit an Engage layout into a smaller space ultimately. So it's a great benefit for them. So, so much more appetite for it there than there is here in the UK, where still, 00 gauge is the core part of what makes the British model market tick. So.
This conversation is making me think I'm going to bring forward the quick fire questions, because normally they come a little bit later on, but there's a link here. So I've got 5 different quickfire questions. You have to give me an answer, and you can't sit on the fence to any of these. So first one is, and you can interpret these in however you want, whether this is what is your biggest passion or what you prefer working with, whatever it is. But first question is 00 NTT.
00.
Okay. And reason for?
It is where I'm focused on modelling at the moment. It's where the greatest range of products is available, and particularly for what I'm currently modelling, which is really the last sort of 10, 15 years of privatisation. It's where the largest volume of products is available to do what I want, whether that be locos, rolling stock, building structures, vehicles. Everything I want is there for the taking. Just not enough hours in the day to do it as quick as I'd like to do. So.
Okay, well, diesel or electric?
Oh, that's a tricky one. Diesel.
Okay. Diesel, electric, or steam?
Oh, I'm on a fence with that one. at the moment, diesel, electric.
Very good. Okay. West Coast or East Coast?
West Coast.
Okay, good answer. I'm over that side, so.
I love the East Coast main line as well, and there's some fascinating traction on it at the moment as well. But it's just the West Coast is the variety, isn't it? So.
Yeah, exactly. Rule 1 or prototypical?
Depends on the day of the week.
Ah, okay.
So I like prototypical, but I also like to go, do you know what? I just want to run a Bully West Country today because I like it.
Yeah. I'll let you sit on the fence with that one, I think. Yeah. Finally, in terms of your scenes, scenic or urban?
Urban.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And is that based on something you're working on now, or?
So my layout I'm working on at the moment is I've actually taken quite a lot of inspiration, to be fair, from what the guys at Making Tracks with Pete Waterman have done with their layouts. fascinated by the urban world around the railway and the modern structures, and a bit of that kind of what I'd term to be like brutalist architecture.
Yeah.
Giant towering blocks of flats, things that were quite rarely modelled in general, but are starting to become a bit more interesting now. I think part of that is actually the availability of things to do that as well. And I've my old layout Topped, which people might remember from various videos we did, that's migrated, it's been moved, it's been completely transformed now. I say completely transformed, it's in the process of being completely transformed. But that is now becoming a urban scene with 12-story tower blocks around a big station. I've got some big plans for what I want to do with that, with the big buildings. I think it's about wanting to move away from just doing some grass around the train set. Which is a really harsh determination of how my old layout used to look. But I think it's a want to expand my modelling beyond the railway, I suppose. It's quite an interesting part.
And I think that's one of the ways that an existing layout can develop as well, as you've just said. But so many people will say, well, if I just stick a load of grass on it, then it's done. I said, well, a layout's never done. It's never finished, and there's always things you can do.
Yeah, and it's actually, scenic layouts are fantastic. Actually, I've seen some lovely scenic layouts where actually the grass work, the field management, the setting of the layout. We had one that was photographed the other day. It's absolutely mind-blowingly lovely how it's been actually put together and superb. I can sit and admire that kind of thing as well. And I'll still have some of that with layout and building as well. But there's also, I don't know, there's that desire to. I am fortunate as well. Kind of jumping around here a little bit. I'm fortunate that I've got a decent space to work with to build layout. And one of the things I've been able to do with that as well is to go wider with the baseboards. So rather than being stuck with the old 2-foot wide baseboards, I've been able to expand those to 4.5 foot wide, which starts to bring the railway into its landscape and its surroundings, rather than just being a railway with a slice of landscape either side, and then you're just at the end of nowhere.
Yeah, I have to admit. I mean, the first thing I built a few years ago with my dad was just a typical roundy. We didn't have much space to do anything else at the time, so we thought we'd do that. And my missus just says, "Yeah, but where in the world do you see a track just going round and round?" And she's got a point. So
yeah. I suppose that's one of the other desires I've got at the moment, is actually, in terms of what I'm building, is actually trying to create something where the trains appear to go somewhere. It's multiple level as well. There's lots of hidden track sections, so a train can leave the station heading off to in wherever it's going in its direction, but it does then disappear before reappearing in a different area.
Yes.
So it starts to become a bit of a journey, a bit of the theatre about how a model railway actually works then as well.
Yeah, and I think there's some people who do that really well. And it's interesting watching the development. I don't know how much YouTube you watch compared to me, but watching the development on Chadwick with Charlie, and the way he's integrated the helixes and the double layers to do exactly that. Whereas you then have a contrast with a very big roundy of Richard at New Junction. Different approaches, but really delivering phenomenal modelling. You must have seen thousands of layouts over the years.
Quite a few, yes. Yeah.
Is there one in particular that sticks out to you as just being one that is just etched in your memory forever?
There's so many, but there is one that we went to photograph early 2020. We went across to Herefordshire to go photograph Greg's Shenstone Road, which is a 1970s era EM gauge layout, and everything is done on that layout, from the way he's balanced to the track, to the way he's weathered his locos, to the way he's formed his trains, to the backdrop he's created. It's just absolutely stunning. You can look at that layout and you can't see anything that jars or looks out of place. It's like, as a comparison to that, for example, my layout that's under construction at this point. I walk into that and I see that I've got unweathered locos, I've got unfinished scenery, I've got things that don't join together and don't match and things. Greg's is a lifetime of work that he's put into this Shenstone Road layout. But it is stunning. And so, as well, I think to see an EM gauge layout built to the level that is as well, where it is a full roundy, hidden storage yards underneath, gradients in it, multiple levels, steel works in one side, station on the other side, and everything runs just as well as it looks as well. That was a real highlight for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I admire greatly multiple level layouts. And whenever I think about, well, how could I make a multiple level? I can never visualize a track plan for a multi-level. So, yeah, the kind of imagination and planning that goes into that. Fair play to all of you multi-level modelers.
Yeah. So I have the opposite problem with that, where everyone's saying, "Can I have a track plan? Can I see a track plan?" It's like, "Well, yeah, it's in here, but you need to get it out." I know what I'm doing. No one else does.
So let's talk a little bit about your 25 years in railway media. I mean, how did that start? Are you media trained and you were media first, and then it combined with your hobbies, or was it just you fell into it?
For the best story, actually, I did fall into it. I'd come out of school at 18. I'll be honest, I hadn't done particularly well with my A-levels, so I was quite disappointed with them. Slightly crass viewpoint in some ways, but I got the sense of I loved earning money. I was working at a pub at the time, really enjoyed earning money, the idea that I could then do things and go and experience things. And I said to my parents, I don't want to do any more education. I just want to, I want a job. I want to stay working, I want to continue having a job. I said, that's fine, as long as you're not just going to do nothing and sit in the house all day, that's fine. Continue working at the pub through the summer. And then my dad had Steam Railway magazine delivered every month as a subscriber. And there was an advert in the back of Steam Railway where they were looking for a junior writer. I remember saying to my dad, what do you think to this? Do you think I should apply? He said, well, there's no harm in applying. It's a good experience, it's a good opportunity for you. Get you traveling, go and see different people, meet different people. As a worst case, you can get some good interview experience for going to go for the job and see what happens.
Yeah.
As luck, fate, whichever way you determine it happened, then actually I was successful in getting that job. Got my feet under the desk as a junior writer on Steam Railway magazine at EMAP. Spent 5 years there, did some amazing things with full-size railway preservation, both in the UK and abroad. And then after that, went on to work for myself as a freelance journalist for a little while. Did
tough gig.
Photography, did some work for Railways Illustrated. And then I think it's again determined as being in the right place at the right time. Was then working with Ian Allen Publishing as a freelance on Railways Illustrated, doing photography, bits of writing and things. And they were looking to launch a model railway magazine, and I was the right fit for that new model railway magazine, which everyone will now know as Hornby magazine.
So it all came together, and what your first job on that were you sort of like the main writer for that, or were you actually?
So I was a junior writer. I went in with no writing experience. I had all the training on the job. I was put through training courses whilst I was there as well to learn the skill set I needed. The story I've told there sounds a little bit flippant. I've got a job and ended up where I am, but there's an awful lot of hard work got in between that as well.
Once you've got a job, you've then got to keep the job, right? So you've got to keep the standards up.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm fortunate, unfortunate in both ways that I'm extremely dedicated to what I do. I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I do as a job. I love being involved in everything to do with railways transport modelling. I'm very committed to making sure I do the best possible job I can for that, for the magazine, for the readers, for everything. So, it was a fantastic first job, to be honest. A proper job, maybe is perhaps the correct word for it. It was. I was there to be a writer, but I had to learn the craft of how to write. There's so many different ways you have to learn to write. It's not just you learn to string a sentence together and you sort and off you go. You've got different feature styles. You've got. My job role varied from I'd be writing a 1,000-word piece a month for an in the works report about a restoration project, to I had to be able to write something in 75 words to fit into a brief column to explain what was happening in the project in 75 words, and you had to be able to manage that actually in those 75 words. Can you give the full picture of what it is, who it is, what's happening, versus telling the full detail in a 1,000-word piece as well? You have to kind of start to learn to balance those different styles of writing.
Absolutely. You're preaching to the choir here. You're talking to somebody with a degree in broadcast journalism, whose partner has a first-class honours degree in print journalism. Yeah, and she's still 100 words a minute shorthand as well, so she's proper journo.
Yeah, proper journo. Yeah. That's yeah.
Unlike me.
Yeah, even though I know my job role is very different to what it was when I first started, I still love being able to sit down with a keyboard and write something. And there's no better feeling than getting to the end of your hour of working and looking at how many words you'd be able to complete and how, knowing that they worked as well. If I'm on my top form, it's 1,000 to 2,000 words an hour kind of thing. Where just because you know what you want to say and how you want to say it, and because you understand the structure of how to say it,
yes,
it just works. And that's years and years of training myself to do the thing I want to do the way I want to do it.
Yeah, I wonder how many millions of words you've written over the years.
I tried to think. I was thinking before this. I wonder actually how many magazines I've actually written for or contributed to, and I lost count, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was heading well towards sort of 400 or 500 publications that I've been involved in.
Wow. So I think most of us know you just through Hornby magazine, I guess. But what kind? I'm not suggesting that you list all 400 or 500 here, but what kind of other things? What kind of other publications have you worked on?
So obviously, Steam Railway magazine I did a lot of issues there.
Yep.
I think there was well over 100 issues whilst I was there working on that magazine. As then I've contributed to a few issues of Model Rail magazine. I've done, I think, a couple of contributions to Rail magazine. Wrote for Railways Illustrated for a good 18 months, 2 years. I've done photography for a couple of Volkswagen magazines as well in the car scene. I've obviously written for, actually, I think I've written for every single issue of Hornby magazine since we first started producing it. I don't think I've missed one yet.
Wow.
There's been something from me in every single issue somewhere. There's then all the bookazines, all the special publications we do as well. I have a lot of involvement in those. There's all the yearbooks. There's 17 of those that I've been involved in for Hornby magazine.
Wow.
And the show catalogues, just anything you can think of that involves publishing with model railways in particular that is mainly where I've been. So. And a few contributions to Airfix Model World here and there, but that is more news related or event related rather than actually writing about modelling per se for that genre. So.
Yeah, for sure. And then you also mentioned to me that you got 15 years of running exhibitions.
Yes.
Now, obviously, we know about Model World Live, which we'll talk about in a bit more detail shortly. We know about GETS, Great Electric Train Show. What else has there been over those 15 years?
So before those, we used to be involved with a show up in Hartlepool, which is called, I think it was called Hornby Magazine Live at that point, right back in the early days of the magazine. So we were involved in that, and I was one of the organisers there for that, helped plan the layouts, plan the floor plan out, do all the marking out for events and all that side of things as well. My main event operation has been with the Great Electric Train Show and with Model World Live. But before that, again, going right back to my teenage years, when I was a lad back up in the north, then actually I was still involved then with Model Rail exhibitions as well. The local club I was a member of, we had an exhibition every year. I was always involved somehow, somewhere with that, not on an organisational level, but actually learning and understanding how these things function, what people needed, how it works. So, it's that events are great fun, tiring but great fun.
Yeah, I'm not sure you would have agreed with that on the setup day of GETS this year. I seem to remember I came up to ask you something and you looked somewhat stressed on the Friday.
There's always a moment on setup days where something's just not going right. You do your best to be diligent about everything you do and everything you plan. But there's always something. And in all the years we'd run shows, we're diligent about what we do, but there's just something that you've missed a little detail on the floor plan or a specific requirement from an exhibitor where actually we haven't provided X or Y and they need it.
Yeah,
it's managing all those things. You've got a lot of different suppliers for an event these days as well. It's like going back to the old days of like the show we used to run up in Hartlepool. All the event services are managed by the venue. So you say to the venue, I want some sockets. Yes, we've got sockets. I want some tables. Yes, we've got some tables. I want some chairs. Yes, we've got the chairs. Whereas now with these bigger events we operate, all those things are coming in from outside suppliers. So you're not just managing a venue. You're managing a venue. You're managing external suppliers. You're managing separate electrical contractors, and they're all feeding into your mini ecosystem that runs for the 2 days in a venue. So
and then you're managing things with bless them, the NEC, and everything becomes even slightly more complicated because it's a behemoth of an operation.
Oh, yes, it's huge working with the NEC. I mean, the NEC is a whole different level. I mean, to be fair, the Great Electric Train Show isn't far off in terms of how we operate from the event management side of view. We're still subject to the same CDM regulations we are at the NEC for build-up and breakdown. There's a lot to work around with that, but there's a little bit more flexibility with the Milton Keynes venue compared to the NEC. But when you're dealing with, we're over 10,000 square metres of event floor space for Model World Live this year. We've got over 180 stands there. That's going to be nearly 500 people before you even start who are actually coming in to set up on a single day. It's a huge logistical exercise, and actually one of the things we're currently in the phase of right now actually is all those final details. We've put in months of preparation to get to this point where we're now on that real steep curve into the final zone of delivering an event where actually all the logistical planning we've done, it's the test of it. Does it actually work?
Yes.
Are all these things going to function correctly? Is our outlook going to match with how the exhibitors are going to be able to actually arrive and set up at the show? Unfortunately, the hall we're in this year, Hall 2, isn't quite as easy for access as it was in Hall 12 last year. A little bit less space around the actual building, which is going to make some of the setup process a little bit more challenging for us. We've put a plan in place. If we make that plan work, it will be fluid, it'll all come together. But again, there's bound to be something. There's bound to be something where it just doesn't quite go to plan.
Absolutely. Well, this is a good opportunity for. We'll talk about the show in just a minute, but obviously, once again, thanks to Key Publishing for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. And look, for those of you wondering about Model World Live, well, Model World Live 2025 is coming on April the 26th and 27th at the NEC in Birmingham, as we've just been discussing. The National Modelling Exhibition features more than 180 stands covering model railways, scale modelling, radio control, slot cars, and even full-size exhibits, which I'm looking forward to talking to you about in just a second. You can book your discount advance tickets online now at keymodelworld.com/Model World Live. That's keymodelworld.com/Model World Live. And I think there's about 12 days left to book your advance tickets. Is that right?
Yes, right. So the advance ticket deadline is the 21st of April. That's where we're focused on for advance ticket sales at the moment. You can still buy tickets on the door, obviously, if you want to turn up on the day. They've got a different price line for on the day tickets. So the advantage of having an advance ticket is you do have quite a nice saving over on the door prices, and you also get the early entry from 9:30 each day as well.
Yes, and also you have VIP tickets as well. I don't know whether they're sold out or whether there's still some.
Yes, so we've still got a handful of the VIP tickets left. They are a limited availability. We have a restricted number of VIP tickets, and that gives customers access to our VIP lounge. They get a bundle of Key Publishing books and magazines. They get some extra discounts from our stand, and a few other little goodies thrown in as well.
Yeah,
we get 2-day entry to the show as well. We should mention that bit. So.
I was talking to somebody the other day who has booked the VIP ticket, and the reason is that they do YouTube content, so they wanted to come in, film for the first half of Saturday, then go sit in the lounge and edit it and be the first to get it out on YouTube, and then enjoy the show for themselves for the second day. Which having a lounge in which to do that sounds perfect.
Yeah, and actually, people do actually really enjoy that space, I think, away from the show as part of the VIP. It can get very busy in these shows ultimately, which is great from our point of view. That's what we want. We want a busy, vibrant show happening. But I do also appreciate that sometimes people do want a bit of time out in the middle of a day. There's a lot to see, a bit of space to sit down, a cup of tea. It's a good thing to be able to do that. So.
Yes, the sitting down can be at a premium at a big event. So.
Yes, it can. Yes. Again, it's something, one of those weird things, but it's one of those things we do always struggle with. How do you balance having enough seating for people to sit down versus making sure you maximise the impact of the show and the value of a ticket holder coming in the door?
Yeah, and of course the income that you have to generate from having traders there as well. So there is a lot to balance there, but. We are now 2.5 weeks away. Is that right?
Yeah, just under 3 weeks. Yes, yeah. just under 2 weeks until I start loading vans and getting prepped to go. So.
For me, I'm very excited to go for the first time. I would have been there last year, but you went and scheduled it on a date where I'd already got a holiday booked, so that was no good for me. But I always said I'd be there this year, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think some of the range of products that I've got, even though we're called RailStuff, a lot of our stuff being scenics and accessories and adhesives and tools and all that kind of stuff crosses over nicely to multiple different genres. What was the idea behind combining railways and other modelling together in one show? Was it just about bringing together as many people as possible, or is there a lot that we can learn from each other?
For me, it's that there's a lot to be learned from each other. And actually, I think there's also the modelling hobby. I think is so diverse and so fascinating. And I know I'm not alone in this. That actually, like we were talking about earlier, my core interest might be model railways, but I'm still fascinated by military vehicles or aviation or whatever it may be. And there's a lot of people of that kind of mindset, whether they've got their core interests, and whether that is scale modelling, rail modelling, radio control, whatever it is. But they can still take inspiration or ideas or just input from different models and different aspects and ways of coming to the modelling hobby. And we wanted to create something which was ultimately, probably not in year 1 or year 2, but ultimately becomes a centerpiece to modelling in the UK.
Yes.
Something that says, this is what modelling is, come and get involved, learn what it's all about, discover all the options of this wonderfully, ridiculously fantastic hobby that we're all involved in. I don't want to, I guess, from my own personal point of view, it's about passing on some of that passion for modelling to other people, whether they're brand new to the hobby day one, going, I wonder what this is all about, I'll go and have a look, to those who've been involved in it for 40, 50 years. Just want people to see how great this hobby is and how much they can enjoy it.
Do you think this show attracts more of the enthusiasts than, some shows end up attracting quite a lot of families and things, which is obviously great, and I know you do the free children on the Sunday piece, but is this quite heavily an enthusiast show, do you think?
It is, but I'd say that from our experience so far, we're good on 1 year here. But our experience of the first year was that it was a different type of enthusiast.
Okay.
So they were more what I call a generalist. They had a love for the hobby. They were fascinated by everything they saw, no matter what genre it was from. A lot of people I spoke to, though, I could never achieve XYZ's layout standard. I could never achieve that, but I'm totally inspired by seeing it. And they were coming into it from more of a general interest in hobbies than the absolute nut and bolt rivet detail type side of things. Still plenty of people who are absolutely, fully focused on the nth degree of detail as well. But I think the majority were actually just taken aback by actually how much detail there was in the products and the models they were seeing as they walked around the show.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think for a lot of the railway modelers that came through, the general sense I got from a lot of people I spoke to at the show last year was actually they were fascinated by the radio control trucks. That really caught their attention. I'm guessing because they move like model railway stuff. You can drive them, you can do things with them. Seeing them driving around in tipper trucks, going around dumping mud and moving things around and building bridges and stuff like that. That's just a weekend of fun, isn't it? So, but equally, they were also totally taken in by the detail, the modelling skills that got into the scale modelling displays as well. And one of the biggest bits of feedback we got was actually, we want to learn from those people. As railway modelers, we want to come into this show, we want to learn from the scale modelers about how they achieve weathering, how they achieve those paint finish details, how are they actually doing these things. So we've actually encouraged as many of the scale modelling displays as possible this year to actually bring a demonstration element as part of their display as well. So it isn't just a static, here's fantastic models, it's actually invite people in. This is actually how we create these models. To the point where we've actually got one group, the Letchworth Scale Model Society, they're building a diorama through the weekend.
Fantastic.
So that should be great for people to come back and observe at different times during the day as well. And then loads of the groups are doing, we've got airbrushing demonstrations, we've got plastic kit modeling demonstrations, we've got real specific demonstrations. So we've got a group that is focused on training aircraft. And they're going to be building Hawk training aircraft all weekend to actually show how those kits can be built to the best standard as well, all the little nuances of them. So loads of things going on for people to learn from as well. And the same with the railway side as well, but loads of people are actually demonstrating model railway techniques as well.
Yeah, and I think demonstration seems to be something that has dropped off a little bit at shows. Over the last couple of years, I see less and less, or fewer and fewer, if I find the right terminology, demonstrations going on. But some of that sounds really interesting. And even this weekend, I was at a small, I say small, good regional model railway show, and I took a laser cut kit with me, a JS Models kit that I've been working on, and I thought, well, I might as well carry on working on it between customers, and actually it was interesting for people to then stop and ask questions, and for you to be able to talk about what you're doing, sort of gave a whole different depth to what I was doing over the weekend. So I'll be really interested to see some of the demonstration stuff over the weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting to say about the demonstration. We did a similar kind of thing at the Spalding Model Railway exhibition, which we attend each year. We were there last year. We had a couple of our layouts there, we had our trade stand there, and I thought, we've got all these laser cut kits we've been working with PGA Models on to create from there as well. It's like, well, why don't we do a similar thing to what you're saying, actually, and actually be there building something, showing people the techniques, explaining actually, again, going back to the whole encouraging people into the hobby thing, actually, it should be about showing people how simple it is. Yes, we want to show them the best techniques possible and how to achieve the absolute best results possible. But I think there's also a need at the other end of the scale as well to say, actually, this isn't rocket science. If you've got hands, it takes a bit of time perhaps to learn dexterity. You need to do some of the things you need to do, but you can join parts together. You can build things, and modern kits as well are so much more accurate to put together than what we had 20 years ago, 30 years ago, where your mold lines might line up sometimes, but not always. And actually, to show people it is something you can get into really easily. You can build this on your kitchen worktop. Ask permission first, or put a cloth down. You can't build this on a kitchen worktop. It's not like you need to have all the tools under the sun and every electronic component in the world to build a model railway or to build a scale modeling kit. You can do it with simple, basic tools.
Exactly.
A laser cut kit, I stood there all weekend. I think I took 3 tools with me. Tube of super glue, craft knife, and a sanding stick. That's all we need to build one of these kits.
Yep. I didn't use much more than that myself this weekend. So, yeah, I mean, coming back to the show, I mentioned earlier. So there's a few things that are kind of like the centerpieces of the show, and you'd probably expect me to ask you about the sort of 2 big railway layouts first, but I'm not. I completely misunderstood and thought that it was a real Spitfire, but it isn't, is it? It's a 1-to-1 model of a Spitfire.
Well, it's a 1-to-1 scale Spitfire. It is a full metal replica, so it is a full scale replica of Spitfire. We refer to it as 1-to-1 scale because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's been built from original works drawings for a Spitfire. It is a replica of a Mark 9C Spitfire to the letter. There's a full cockpit in it. There's all the instrument panels are in it. Everything is there apart from the engine.
Wow.
That's the bit that's missing. But it is, I mean, the construction that you guys have put into it, they're basically built like they would have done in a factory building a Spitfire. So it's not like they've just created a mold and stuck 2 fiberglass parts together. They've literally made this whole thing from original drawings to create a real replica Spitfire. So if you put this next to a real Spitfire, it looks the same. Wow. But it's going to be fabulous.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that they'd had to cut it out of a sprue or anything like that and glue it together. But, I mean, that sounds, and again, us railway modelers, I know there was a full size loco there last year, which I think Acura Scale brought down. This year it's the Spitfire, and actually I'm thinking, well, I've never seen a Spitfire that close up before. Whereas, I sort of go to places where there's full size locos all the time. But
Yeah,
actually, to see a Spitfire will be quite
yeah,
interesting.
exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, so we had basically Britain's most popular diesel loco at the show last year. It's like, well, what do we do next? Ideal was, it'd just be amazing to have a Spitfire in the show, but obviously a real live, fully working Spitfire, we wouldn't physically be able to get it into the show and assemble it and have it on display. It just wouldn't work. It wouldn't fit through the doors or down the motorway for a start. And then we found this group called Simply Spitfire that have built this one. They're building another one at the moment as well. I think they're doing a Mark V now as well. But it's a fabulous looking aircraft. So.
And how will that be transported? I assume they take the wings off and stick it on a low loader.
Yes, so it comes in a trailer and with the wings off, and we're already booked to assist in putting the wings onto it.
Wow.
So that's part of our job on Thursday. So Thursday's the big stuff before the main event of setting up on the Friday.
Yeah, of course.
So Thursday is where I've got all my multiples of 40-ton trucks coming in with equipment and big stands and Glasgow Eastfield coming in. So
which leads me on to obviously we've got the two main attractions in the railway world. Obviously, there's the Waterman layout, which we'll talk about in a second. But Eastfield TMD is the reason I'm particularly interested in seeing this is I was at Model Rail Scotland when it was there, but didn't get a chance to go and see it because I was busy all weekend. So I'm sure I'll be busy all this weekend. yeah, but I might have to just come in early one morning and go and have a look at it. But tell us a little bit about Eastfield TMD because it's something a bit special, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. So it's a I think when people first think of a TMD layout, they're expecting locos shuffling back and forth. Maybe 10, 15 foot long, maybe half the frontage of the depot. But no, this is the entire Glasgow Eastfield depot, as close to scale as Mick could manage, in 70 foot long and just under 40 foot wide at its widest point. You've got all the double track main line running all the way around and through across the front of the layout as well. So that's its continuous run layout with the depot at the centre. The actual section with the depot on it in the middle, at its widest point, is over 13 feet wide.
So this is O gauge, right?
Yeah, O gauge, yeah. Yes, it's 7 metres to the foot scale. Wow. And he's then got, at the other end, once you've gone past Glasgow Eastfield, he's then got all the junctions splitting out to go to Queen Street or past Queen Street. And there's a Model World Live will be the first chance to see his model of Glasgow Queen Street actually working with trains running in and out of it. Glasgow Queen Street won't be fully finished. There's a huge amount of work they're putting into that at the moment. But it will be for the first time actually working. Wow. So you'll be able to see trains running in and out of there as well. It's like when we were there for the photo shoot with it, when we wanted to move locos around in the middle of the depot, they actually had to climb onto the boards to go and climb across to move things around.
Wow.
And a couple of photographs that we've got, which are taken inside the depot, actually Jonathan was actually sent up on top of the boards to go and get his camera inside the depot to go get the photographs. It's absolutely out of this world, is that layout. So
yeah, so that's a real upcoming highlight. And then of course Pete Waterman and the Rail Nuts are back.
Yes.
What's different this year?
Right, so they're bringing Watford Junction this year. So Watford Junction is probably the layout that's had the most development over time, actually, compared to some of the other ones. So most of the other making tracks layout, it's come to the Chester Cathedral period, and it's there, it's complete. They may have done a few embellishments here and there, but actually Watford Junction's probably had the biggest journey of all the layouts so far. So it started off as part of the world record attempt layout last year, where it was 2 foot wide. It modelled the 5 through platforms of the main line at Watford Junction, but it didn't really model anything either side of the station. And they're all quite honest that actually they felt that what they'd achieved with Watford Junction for the world record, that layout, didn't really meet what they wanted to achieve. Okay. It basically made Watford Junction look like a country station. Because it missed out all the architecture either side, which transformed it from being a country station to being a cityscape. Yes. Which is one of the things I think was a real standout of what they did with Milton Keynes. It's like, all of a sudden we had a cityscape coming in the back of a van to be a model railway layout for the weekend. So they started a plan then to turn it into its own individual layout, which they took to Chester Cathedral last year, but it was still basically 2 foot wide all the way through. They had a road cutting on one end, they've got Watford tunnel in between, and then went through Bushy Viaduct at the far end of it. And then whilst they're at the cathedral, they started building flats for it, so they could start expanding the layout widthways as well. So they then added it was about 3 feet on the back and then 2 feet on the front. So by the time it came to the Great Electric Train Show in October last year, you had Watford Junction station building, the overground platforms as well were there as well. Actually, now got all 10 platform faces, but there isn't a platform 5, I think, from what I remember at Watford Junction. And then you had the backdrop of the flats, but the flats weren't in the right position then either.
Right.
So again, they say, well, we're not happy with this. We're not comfortable with what we've achieved so far, but we want to keep pushing with it. Yeah. So again, for Blakemere in December, they modified it all again. They repositioned all the baseboards, redid all the flats, repositioned all the flats, and then said again after that, we're still not happy with it. And what they realised was they hadn't actually got enough length to do it justice. There's a big missing bit between the end of the platforms at Watford Junction Station at the north end of the platforms and where the start of Watford Tunnel was. So it's like, well, this is an issue. This is why it's not working. This is why the road bridge is in the wrong place, why the flats at the wrong angle. Everything's just not quite gelling. Said, right. He said to me, can you fit another 8 feet in? Yeah.
Just like that, yeah.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah, we'll fit another 8 feet in. That's fine, no problem at all. So it's going to be 72 foot long this time. But that means now they've been able to expand the layout lengthways and widthways to bring that full backdrop of Watford Junction in.
Wow.
So they've created a whole new collection of brand new laser cut buildings for the flats and structures that sit just north of Watford Junction Station. The road bridge has been completely rebuilt. It's now in the right place. They've redone all the groundwork for the big flats that people have seen at Getz and at Blakemere. So they're all now at the correct angle as well and in the correct place with the correct amount of car parking between them as well. And I think one of the things actually I'm most looking forward to seeing, this is going to make me sound like a complete fruit, is the weird shaped flats that they built that go just north of the main road at Watford Junction Station. So Phil Morton, who's doing all design work from that for PGM Models, he's been showing me progress on them, actually helping put the first parts of them together as well. And it's a fantastically ugly collection of flats that they've got. But they just are going to look brilliant. And it's not just that they've got boxes and gone, here's some flats. It's actually, this is a full multi-angle structure. Phil's even gone to the level of actually having the internal walkways around the balconies on them as well. So actually, people could, if they were miniaturized, physically walk around the balconies of these flats and be exactly like they are in the real world. The level that's gone into the creation of these is just, it's another level. You could probably quite easily have missed some of those bits out and people would never have noticed or criticised or anything.
There would have been one person, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure there would have been one person, yeah, but that's been one of the things I've always liked about the railways, actually, is that they've always been going, no, we want to push the extra mile. We want to find that extra 5% of whatever it may be we can do to make this not just be a good model, we want it to be a great model. And I think that's one of the things that, for Watford Junction in particular, is quite fascinating. I think people will, on the surface, we go, well, it's only 8 feet longer. How different can it be? But it's not just 8 feet longer. It's also, it's wider, it's bigger, it's better, it's creating a better reproduction of reality.
An extra 8 foot of detail and space to create something really unique. So so I've called out those 3 highlights: so the making tracks, Watford Junction, Eastfield TMD, Spitfire 1-to-1. Was there anything I missed that's like a big standout that's kind of on the front pages of all of your adverts?
It's not on the front pages, but one of the recent additions we've got a Lego model of the Forth Bridge.
Oh wow!
So it's going to be it's nearly 10 meters long. This Lego model of the Forth Bridge. So that's actually quite something. That's part of a fully working, they call it the Brick Coast Main Line. It's done by the Lego UK Railway Group. So it's all Lego trains all running around. They've got loads of scenic features they've all built, and like this absolutely stellar model of the Forth Bridge in Lego, which it doesn't look like a pile of Lego. It looks like the Forth Bridge. So,
when they finish building it at one end, do they have to start at the other end again, or?
Yeah, I think they should. Yeah. And then we've got the Tamiya Trucking guys as well. They're bringing a much bigger display this year as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a 15 meter by 10 meter display from them. And that's going to include a learner driver section where, for a small fee, people can have a go and learn to drive.
Oh, great.
control trucks as well.
Oh, that might be interesting. So I have a background in RC car racing.
Yes.
I did it for many years and competed all over the place. So radio control always interests me. But the trucking side is very different from the racing side. But,
Yes. Yeah.
But it might be quite interesting to have a look at it. And although I don't need another expensive hobby in my life, that's
You do. You can never have enough expensive hobbies in your life.
well. I've already got model railways and I do sim racing as well. So I've got my wheel and pedal set up directly behind me, and that's expensive enough as well. And then an expensive hobby of a child as well. It's so what? I mean, what about Getz? Getz is a runaway success, right? And the last couple of years, it has been so busy in there. Are you now getting to the limit of what you can do in that arena? And is it something that you've considered moving, or?
So yes and no. So yes, we are probably at the limit to what we can do in that venue. Yes, we probably could consider moving, but at this point, it's still the right venue for us. As our pure focused model railway show, we decided that actually the Great Electric Train Show isn't about quantity, it's about the quality.
Okay. Yep.
So a slightly different mindset. So if you put two shows next to each other, the Great Electric Train Show and Model World Live, Model World Live is still about quality as well, but it's also about quantity. This is a national event at the NEC. It's got to be about quantity as well as being about the quality. Yep. Whereas the Great Electric Train Show, being a smaller venue, slightly different location as well, we decided that actually that is now about making that the absolute best quality we can. We push the margins for the quality of layouts we can get in. We do the same with the trade stand as well. We're trying to make it a real top-notch show from that point of view.
Yeah.
With that venue, I've said it before to people in public at the show and to the venue owners, I'd love to be able to knock the walls down and make it 30% bigger. Just the way it operates, the way it functions, it does work really well for us as a company, and as a business side of things as well.
It is a great venue in that regard, and it's a good location as well. Fairly central in the country.
And with the shopping and the food stores right next door as well, actually, it worked really well from the point of view that actually, if you come with your partner or your wife, that actually you can both go for a day out in the same place.
Yep.
And you can either choose to go together to do everything, or you can go to, I'm going to the railway show, and your wife goes off to do shopping or wherever it may be, and enjoy the stores that are there. You can meet for lunch, or you can just decide, actually, we're going to go as a couple, we're going to go to the model railway show, then we're going to go to the shops afterwards, have a spot lunch in between. It can be an actual proper day out, which I quite like about that venue as well.
Although I guess there's always a little bit of trepidation about what do the football fixtures throw at us each given year. It's been unlucky the last 2 years.
They can be quite a tricky thing to navigate. The unfortunate thing about the football fixtures is they're not announced until June.
Yeah.
So by that point, we're already 50% of the way through our marketing campaign for an event, and all the plans are in place. Exhibits are booked and everything. I think it was 2021 was the year where we were able to move the show.
That's right.
But that year we were really fortunate for a lot of events all at the same time. So it was the first year of any public events after COVID, obviously, which meant that there weren't many events running anyway, which meant we could just go, look, everyone, we're just going to move it back by a weekend. And because the traders weren't going to any other events the weekend after, and there weren't any other events to clash with, we could be quite self-indulgent, I suppose, there in a way, and go, do you know what, we are just moving the show. Whereas in a normal year, in a normal marketplace, actually, that would be unfair of us to do that to either the traders, the exhibitors, or other exhibition organisers as well.
Yeah.
Don't want to be doing that kind of thing and get under people's feet. So
it's interesting that you mentioned that. Do we know if there's going to be a clash with another show from an organiser who used to operate at the NEC this year, or do we not know?
I think it's the weekend after this year.
Right. Okay.
I think,
which is definitely better. That must have been a challenge last year as well.
Yes and no. I think there's room for everyone at the end of the day. Different shows attract different types of audiences, different types of people. They're both quite different events ultimately, and they can both comfortably have their own place in the model railway market. I think it was unfortunate that the two ended up on the same weekend last year. My understanding was that they had no choice, but equally we were already tied to our dates with a multi-year contract with our venue. So it's like you kind of end up in this kind of, well, we can't move, you can't move. What do we do? Well, we've got to coexist at that point, haven't we? So
Yeah.
We always do our best to avoid any clashes where we can, but it's not like there's 51 weekends free in the year and we can pick any of them. It's like if you look at any calendar, whether it be model railways or scale modelling, no matter which weekend of the year we choose for an event, we are going to clash with someone somewhere. You just do your best not to clash with the big things that are going to draw or split the audience and make it bad for the exhibitors and the traders that come to shows as well. So a lot of consideration for all that. So
yeah. Don't worry, I won't try and drag you further into a political conversation there. But just talking about shows in general, I know you must get to plenty of other shows around the country across the year. So outside of your shows, what do you think is the best show on the circuit at the moment in the UK?
That's a tough answer, that one.
I probably should have given you some forewarning of
yes,
that question.
That is a question I need to think about. I suppose there's different shows attract me for different reasons. It's like the Stafford show, for example. They've always put together a quality show up in Stafford from the Stafford Railway Circle. I used to enjoy going to that show both as a punter and as an exhibitor as well.
My local show, so well done on that one.
I think I'm also in some ways probably the wrong person to ask that question, because I go with a very different mindset to shows than most people go into a show. It's like I always used to love the Worley Model Railway show, but for a completely different reason to everyone else. So my love for the Worley Model Railway show was being the lunatic running around, gathering all the photographs, gathering all the new information from all the stands around the show, and be able to put together a great report about it afterwards for the magazine and to be up to date with everything. That was brilliant for me. That was heaven, seeing all the new things. But whereas other people were there enjoying or relaxing or enjoying the show in a very different way to what I was there to enjoy the show from. Then over time things change, and actually my enjoyment now for any show is actually people enjoy what we're bringing to the party and being part of the hobby. That's I suppose a bit of a difference for me.
It's interesting from my point of view, like talking to punters about what they like from shows these days, and some people I think really go to shows now as a shopping day. It is with fewer model shops on our high streets, and maybe some people are a little bit more reluctant to shop online, then for them it's a great opportunity to go and shop for the day, whereas others will go purely for inspirational purposes and to see layouts as well. Just how difficult is it finding that balance between the two?
I don't think it's entirely difficult. I think there's nuance to it that can be difficult. I think we have quite prescriptive ratios we use for what we want for trade to layouts. If you say them bluntly, we're looking for a 55% minimum trade stands, 45% layouts, it can feel quite blunt, I suppose, from a exhibitor going to a show going, I just want to see more railways. I want to see the exhibits first, not trade stands. But when you actually think about the ratio and the square foot those things take up, actually, I might have 55 trade stands and 35 layouts, but it could be actually there's more footprint of layout to trade stands because of the size of layouts we've got as well. So that's one of the things where it's like actually in terms of square meterage, it's a different collection of statistics that go with that versus actually the volume side of things as well. Ultimately, as everyone's aware with our shows, they are commercial shows. They've got to function, they've got to work from a financial point of view. And that's not just to be there to take money off people. That's actually we want to invest in these shows for their future as well. Note also, particularly actually at Model World Live, I've got a really clear vision of where that is going. For the agreed plan, we know what we want to achieve. but it's got to achieve its right operations from a financial point of view as a commercial show in order for it to possibly be able to move that forward and to actually deliver to people what we want to deliver.
Yeah, exactly, and and even like smaller, more regional shows, they are operated by model railway clubs for the most part,
Yeah.
and they use it as a fundraising piece for the club, and it does make me chuckle though. On Sunday morning at the show I was at the weekend, it was the South Notts show in Cotgrave near Nottingham. Great show. I love going there every year. It's so fresh. It's the one place where I know that at the end of the day, once I've finished loading up all my boxes, an army of helpers will suddenly descend and start ferrying them out for me, which is very welcome. But it always makes me chuckle. Sunday morning, treasurer comes round with the box. Right, there's your invoice. Let's have your money, please. Takes it, and then about 2 hours later, I see him go to the exhibitor next to me, take the same notes out, and go, right, there's your expenses for the weekend. And just seeing the cyclical nature of how that works, on a smaller scale. But yeah, it's the same on a bigger scale. You've got to cover those costs, and then generate some income from it as well.
Yes, exactly. Ultimately, like I say, our aim with these shows is always to be putting back into them to grow them for the hobby. We want to be there for everyone to enjoy it. I'm not just doing this just to be a commercial organisation. I'm doing this because we love it. We've got a team of people involved who love hobbies of every kind, and we want to be a part of that. So
definitely. Yeah. Well, look, we're around about an hour for our conversation. I think there is one thing I would like to finish on before we go, and it's a fairly open-ended, generic question, really. That here we are in 2025. There's no doubt, despite what was said a year or two ago, there's no sign of this hobby drying up or dying at all. It's madness. What are you most looking forward to over the next couple of years with our hobby?
Well, I'm looking forward to quite a few things, really. I think one of the things in particular is the way that new technology has now been embraced by the hobby, which is quite a broad response as well.
Yeah.
I'm loving the way that manufacturers are bringing in more capabilities into a model. So you buy your ready-to-run locomotive, whatever it may be, but actually it's not just that the lights turn on now. It's actually the correct lights turn on in the correct way, and you can manage them all correctly to do all the correct things that it would do on the real railway.
Yeah.
We've gone to the nth degree of detail on the outside. I love the fact that now they're moving into actually the nth degree of the physical operation of the model as well. I love operating modern railways. I've always enjoyed playing trains, for want of a better phrase. But if you can get those extra, again, details, I suppose it is, of actual operation from a product as well, that really adds a lot of benefit. I can see that being something that can really benefit everyone over the longer term. And I think actually then for modelers to be able to see better value back as well for what they pay for a model as well. I think there's always the question about price for products, and I see all sides of it. But for me, if you're going to add value physically to a product, then you can start to justify the cost of it. So that's definitely an exciting area. But then I think that new technology as well expands beyond locomotives and rolling stock. It expands into the way we make buildings, the way we make scenic products, the way we make accessories. You mentioned it earlier actually about the rise in 3D printing and the quality of 3D printing that's currently available. I can only see that getting more and more exciting. It's like I look at the stuff that, for example, Birch from Rusty Rails does. The finesse that he gets from his 12K 3D prints is it's absolutely staggering. Just how much better can that become in the future? What's he going to bring for us?
For sure. It's a fascinating time to be involved in the hobby. And like you say, it's not just about the technical side of the models, but it is about the detail and the even some of the techniques, the way they change, and even you break down right down to weathering and the different materials that are available now that weren't in the past, and then you got the static grass that we didn't have in the past, and it's all developing at a really nice pace, and yeah, it's certainly exciting time for our hobby.
Yeah, and then in terms of like just purely thinking about events as well, because it is the thing that's in front of my mind all the time at the moment. I'm actually really excited for where we can take Model World Live over the next few years. I've got some crazy and some sensible ideas. Hopefully we'll get to the crazy ones sooner than I think I might do at the minute. But there'll be some. If I can achieve what I want to achieve, it's just it'd be amazing. So.
Well, I'm sure this year's show will be amazing as well. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Just a reminder for you, it's the 26th and 27th of April at the NEC in Birmingham. You can book your discount advance tickets online now at keymodelworld.com/Model World Live. Make sure you do. And of course, when you come along to the show, make sure you come over and see RailStuff and pick up your bits and pieces from me. But if you need anything in the meantime and you need to get yourself stocked up, ready for your next modelling project, then as always, listeners of the podcast can use the discount code POD10 to get 10% off their next order. So use the discount code POD10 to get 10% off your next order from RailStuff.com. Mike, it's been fascinating talking to you. Frankly, I feel like we could have talked for another couple of hours. There's even things on my notes that I didn't get anywhere near talking to you about. So, maybe we'll bring you back this time next year, and you can tell us all about the crazy stuff that's coming at Model World Live next year, yes. and we finish this conversation off. But
hopefully we'll get the rest of the crazy moving forward. So we've still got a little bit more crazy to announce for this show. So it's just still more things to come at this point. But,
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Good luck with the show. Good luck with everything else, and maybe I'll have to bring some Red Leicester with me.
Yes. That'd be great.
Excellent. Well, that was Mike Wild, not Mike World. I think I was going to call you Mike World from Key Model Wild then, but anyway, it's definitely Mike Wild from Key Publishing.
So a very random story, but I did spend an entire phone contract being referred to as Mr. Wold.
Yeah, people love to get names wrong, don't they? There we go. Thank you very much for your time, Mike. And look, for anyone who's in doubt, just listen back to what Mike was saying about this year's show, and I hope to see you there. It will be a very exciting event. We've got 2 weekends between now and then with I've got 2 free weekends, which is miraculous, so I'm looking forward to enjoying those, and in fact one of those is of course a 4-day weekend, so even better. But we'll be back soon, and I've got some other really interesting guests lined up for the next couple of shows as well. But in the meantime, carry on listening, and we will see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much.